What's up, guys? Zaid here, and today I've got for you my SwordSoul Tenyi deck profile. Shout out my cameraman Tommy, who is recording the deck profile and also let me borrow this deck.
Yup.
I played this 2 locals in a row. First locals on Wednesday, I got 4th place. I went 4-1. Second locals on Thursday, I went 4-1 also. I got 2nd place.
Yeah.
The list is a little different, so don't expect it to just be cookie cutter. There's a lot of stuff that's standard, but a lot of stuff that's really different, and I think some of my theory in this deck going forward, I'm not going to say it's definitively the correct way to play the deck, but I think it's close. And some stuff is just really cool. It's just a different and interesting list, and I'll talk about each card as I get to it. So let's get into the profile.
Hell yeah.
So for the SwordSoul engine, it's pretty standard. We've got the 3 Moyi, the 2 Taiye, the 3 Ecclesia, the 3 Long Yun, the 3 Emergence, and the 1 Blackout.
Yep.
This is all very standard, to be honest.
It's probably every.
Currently, nobody that I've seen is playing Summit, and when I was playing this deck, not this exact list, but I was playing a variant on Dueling Book last format with Protoss, and I liked Summit, and I wanted to play Summit, but like Tommy didn't have it. I didn't know where mine was, so I didn't play it. And honestly, not only did I not miss it, but in theory, I don't think that you should play it probably, because it kind of helps with combos, but at the same time, it adds a garnet to the deck, and I'm playing 47 cards, by the way. My
That's already
objective,
heavy.
yeah, I like a lot of cards, but the reason I play a lot of cards is because there's like 2 to 3 cards you don't want to draw, and the rest of the cards do the same thing, so I wanted to make the deck a little bigger. And so this is the SwordSoul lineup. Not much to say. In this build, I don't think I would want a 3rd Taiye, but if someone plays 3, I don't think they're crazy. Like, the card is very strong.
Sure.
It's not good on its own. It's only good with another card, and that's why I think 2 is fine.
All right.
For the Tenyi package, we're playing triple Adhara, triple Ashina, triple Vishuddha, and triple Vessel. So, these cards, the Adhara and Ashina, some lists fluctuate between 2 or 3, but 3 Ashina is just standard. The reason I play 3 of this, I'm playing the Helk line, and even decks that play the Helk line sometimes play 2 of this card. I think that's just wrong, because like my favorite way to play is to like special this and then normal a Moyi, because just those 2 cards means that they have to have 2 interruptions to stop me from playing, and I have the rest of my hand, because if they Veil or Imperm the Moyi, you then use the Moyi and the Adhara to make the Helki Fibrax, and they have to out that also.
Yep.
So I really like this. And then people I've seen play 2 Vishuddha, I think that the reason I max out on this, it is the worst one to draw going first, to like by itself. But I play a card in the extra deck that is like Spice that you guys haven't seen in this list, I bet, and this card works with that. I'll talk more about it when I get to the card, but it's also the best one going second.
Oh, yeah.
This card makes it so this card also, these both function as going second cards, kind of. This is like a half going second card. This is definitely a good card going second. And the reason we're playing this over the Circle, honestly, because it's the Helk build, and if you have 2 cards that aren't Tenyis, there's still a good chance you're getting into having tokens on board. And so this card is going to act as a +1. But also, if you played Circle, I could see the argument for it. I like Circle a lot. It dodges hand traps and stuff, which is really cool, but I play through hand traps well, so I don't think dodging is as important. And then, so these next cards are just like generic cards, kind of. This Desires.
Yeah, of course.
This card was weird to me, actually. So I felt like I didn't want it in the deck, because every time I resolved it, I banished this. And I also one time...
Every time?
Yeah, I only resolved this twice.
That's wild.
Or I think I activated it twice once it got ashed. But both times I got rid of the 001.
Damn.
And one of the times I got rid of 001 and Blackout.
Jeez.
But that's another advantage to 70. Like, that's very anecdotal. It was 2 times.
Yeah,
and
that's rare.
these cards, you don't want to banish off this. And you're playing 47. You also don't want to draw these. So it kind of just... The upper deck count helps with this. But I did also like draw 2 combo pieces the time this resolved, and it was very nice.
Yeah.
It can also get you hand traps, which helps. And then the other like generic cards we play are 3 E-Telly. This is standard also. You summon the Ghost Ogre out, so this card is a pseudo going second card because if they're playing the Brave engine or like an Appaloosa or a lot of other things. I couldn't really name other examples off the top of my head, but the Ogre does come up a lot. You also, it acts as a trap going first if you don't need it as an extender.
Sometimes with Ogre, sometimes what I like doing with Ogre, when I know the deck and I know that they don't have much options other than what they're doing, I'll Ogre a monster effect that they, like even like Moye, like I'll Ogre their effect so they just have a token just sitting there.
That's dirty.
And nothing else to do.
If you Ogre that, it also turns off their Tenyi plays because they can't synchro.
Exactly.
Or, I mean, they can't link. So I like Ogring Moyes. That came up a couple times where it won me a game. But this also, like, it's a trap, so you can do that on their turn. And it's just an extender. It's a level 3 extender, so at the level 7, it makes a 10, but it also makes the Helk. It's very good. You set it as a trap if you don't need it as an extender because it summons the Ogre. I loved that card. And then this is the spiciest card in my list. We're playing a 3 Ready Fusion. I know I'm not in the extra deck yet, but I'll show you the target. Yeah, we use it for this dude.
She pretty.
The theory with these cards, right, is this to me acts as when you're going first, it is a better version of the emergence. Okay. Or not the emergence, the emergency teleport. Because it does the same thing functionally. It gives you a tuner. But it's important that the tuner's dark for something I'll show you. It's also a non-effect monster, so you can still special Tenyis when it hits the board. And you can use this plus Yazi to synchro into Chow Fang. And if you guys know, Chow Fang has the effect that you negate your opponent can't activate effects of monsters that are the same attribute as the Yang Zings you used to summon Chow Fang. Typically, you make Chow Fang with a Baxia and a 1, so they can't use light monsters. But when you use this with Yazi, you can lock them out of Darks, which beats decks like Invoked, it beats decks like PK, anything with the Phoenix Enforcer engine. And so that didn't come up, but that was a crazy utility to this. Also, shout out my boy Brandon Comer. We played the mirror match round 2 or 3 at one of the locals, and I didn't even realize the most important synergy about this card. You can, where's my good stack at? It's a fusion. So you can, if you link with it, you get Ecclesia's effect on the end phase if it's engraved. This card's last line of text that usually doesn't come up in this deck says, if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, add this card from your grave to your hand.
Oh, so, damn, that's heavy.
Yeah, when you draw these cards in tandem, not only do you have like a crazy play that's
follow-up.
Yeah, you play through multiple interruptions, you get really good follow-up. It's just, the card was really strong when I draw it by itself, but it became awkward when I would draw this with other cards, and those other cards incentivized me to make the Helk line. Because after you already make the Helk line, and then if you get hand trapped, this doesn't do as much. Going first specifically. So there were games where I would side this out, and I also side deck some extra deck monsters. So if I needed room for those, I would side this out with that to make room. And then let me put that back in the extra deck. And then show you guys the last and most important part of the deck. The hand traps.
Yeah.
The hand traps in the main and also in the side kind of are a lot of like where my theory came in on this deck. It's going to seem standard at first, except for like this card. The Ash is standard. You play the 3 Ogre, that is also your E-Tele target, and the 3 Veiler, and then the 3 Nibiru. This card, SwordSoul typically doesn't play as often because of the fact that putting the body on board prevents you from using prevents you from using the Tenyi effects.
Yeah.
But the reason that I like a card like this, and also some cards I'll show you guys in the side deck, is that in a deck like this where I'm playing, this is a tuner extender, this is a tuner extender. These are all tuners that can be summoned, and then also we have...
in case you use the nib, you have backup plan.
Yeah, we also have this, so if we nib them...
You could just normal that.
We have 18 tuners that would give us the full Helk line. And so it turns Nib into a combo
Ash
piece.
Is a tuner too.
Yeah, all these hand traps are tuners. So my hand traps are a one that summons itself, and then all tuners, because these also function as combo pieces with a Tenyi. Okay. Any Tenyi plus a hand trap is full combo.
Yeah.
And so this deck and this build and the side deck and extra are very built around the theory of the old format Synchro Eldritch, where we were playing cards like Jet Synchron and the card that searches Jet Synchron. So you would have any one card could get you like 3 or 4 draws with a full Helk line and also 1 or 2 interruptions. But in that format, people played a lot of hand traps because of how high impact you could be off one card. And so with that same theory, you would play like 12 to 15 hand traps. People were playing this and Phantasme because they'd put themselves on board, and then they just normal another tuner hand trap. And if you brick on hand traps, it's still full combo. And in this deck, it's extra like that because the Tenyis function like that. And this is the end of the main deck, so I'm gonna...
Do you think that, how often did Nib come up?
Nib, the first locals, it won me 2 games. I sided it out against some matchups, and I sided out when I go first. But the thing, I'm going to show you guys one of the extra deck cards too. I already covered this one, but one of the extra deck cards that makes Nib crazy going second, in the mirror it's literally insane, but in other matchups it's still decent, is I play this Lina the Charmer Lustrious. The inspiration for this came from, I believe it was Raphael Nevin's build of Bird Up. It was a couple months ago. The deck profiles on DB Grinder's channel. He played Nibiru, and he played the Wind Charmer. And the reason was in Bird Up, it's the same where the Warbler functions like a Tenyi, where if you control no monsters, you can special it. And so that would make it, if you open Nib plus Warbler, Nib would kill your combo. So what he would do is Nib them, and then put the token in attack, and then normal summon a Wind, make the Wind Tenyi, or not Tenyi, the Wind Charmer, and then if they had a Wind engrave, you could take it, like that takes Barons and stuff, but you could also crash it into the token, search your other combo piece, and then, like, say you summon Cobalt, you would summon the Cobalt, make the Wind, crash, search, Warbler, full combo main phase 2, and so I took inspiration for that. So my Nib with anything would make a Light Charmer, and when this card dies, it searches Ecclesia or Veiler. So you can either grab an Interruption or an additional extender. And so to show you guys like how powerful this play is, I'll talk about a line that came up in the mirror match in particular against my boy Comer, who's also the one that pointed out to me that I could use that to recycle my Ecclesia. So he went first, right? And he goes like, he makes his play. He didn't play in a way that played around Nib. So I was able to drop the Nib on him. And he opened with an Ecclesia. So he had Ecclesia on Grave. On my turn, I'll put these facing you guys. So like I've got the Nib on board. And I go normal summon Mo Yi. I forget what I reveal, but I reveal a card. And he Veilers this. So keep in mind, this card already traded with multiple cards. It put me very far ahead. And now it's on the board. So this one Mo Yi traded with one Imperm. Or not an Imperm, a Veiler. And then I linked into the Charmer. The Charmer targets his Ecclesia and Grave. He imperms this. So now my one Mo Yi has traded with 2 hand traps. I then enter battle phase, and I crash this into the Nib token that I put in attack. And so this will die. I search my own Ecclesia, and now main phase 2, I have no monsters. He still has the token. I special Ecclesia, full combo. So the Nib traded heavily on his turn. The Mo Yi took out 2 interruptions with just a normal summon before I even play, and my battle phase, which is important to note. Oh, yeah. But then I get to special the Ecclesia, full combo with everything else. Like this on its own is a full combo. But then I also had hand traps and stuff in hand to follow it up. So that's why I like the Nib and why I play this card to make the Nib insane. You also just summon a tuner with a Nib, like I said, and it's full health line. But this made it versatile to do other stuff. And so into the extra deck I'll go. By the way, guys, you know me. I ramble. I'm not ramble, but I like to bring you all the information I learn in my testing with these decks. So
yeah, I don't even really have to ask questions.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say about it. So if you find that like beneficial for you, please like go ahead and let me know in the comments and subscribe if you're not. And and if
give it a little like too.
If this isn't the type of the video for you, if you don't want to hear like these in-depth explanations, I'm honestly not your guy, but I still appreciate that you're here and skip through it, see the list. Let me know in the comments if that's what you did, and that's fine by me. This I showed in the extra deck. Also, I'm going to go over this is my field center. Then I got 2 Ebony Devil, 3 Murderous Snowman. Yeah, and then 3 1-inch Boy. These are all my tokens. I liked having a lot of tokens.
That's us.
Yeah, the 1-inch boys. Shout out the gang.
Yeah.
But this obviously doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm going to explain it too much, but I like having multiple tokens so that you can summon a type of token for Auroradon, but then also have a different type so you can differentiate between your tokens easier, because you have a level 3 token and a level 4. Just a thing to note. It's almost like a way to note take without actually note taking.
Yeah,
you
for
can
real.
Keep track of your stuff. But the extra deck, I covered this. It's for the Ready Fusion.
Yep.
And then we played 2 Monk. In this type of build, 3's overkill. I used to play like SwordSoul Tenyi without the synchro stuff online a lot, and this card I played 3 of then, but now it's a 2 of because you have other lines you go into a lot of the time, and you need the space. And then the Auroradon line with Halki Fibrax. This is for the Despot 001. It gives a lot to the deck. Like, The Auroradon at least is going to give you 3 level 3s and a 1 that turns into a Baron. But at most, you led your play with Mo-Yi. It got interrupted. You use an extender tuner. And then you're able to, you synchro 2 of the tokens and the level 1 into Yazi. This will leave you with 1 token, by the way. And then you will use Auroradon Tribute itself to pop the Yazi. Yazi summons Taiye. Taiye will banish the Mo-Yi or the Yazi that you led with. Typically, you'll want to do the Mo-Yi, actually, so that you can add it back later, because you're going to use Taiye, you're going to summon the 4, you sink 8 into your Chizao, which I'm playing 2 of. Chizao will search you Long Yun, and Taiye will dump at Hara. So then at Hara is going to add back the Mo-Yi, and you're going to be able to pitch the Mo-Yi for Long Yun and then make the Baron. So you're going to get Baron plus SwordSoul Chizao through just a Helk if, like, you have a Worm and Grave. And that's, like, very insane, because if you have the Worm and Grave, it means you try to play and it got interrupted. This is your backup plan, yet it's your full combo. And I think the second one of this only came up once or twice, but it's probably correct to play. I'll go over some of the more standard stuff first, then I'll get into the spice. Well, actually, I'll do the spice now, because we talked about this, but I also play this one, the Dark Charmer. The Dark Charmer is because Vishuda's a dark, the Ready Fusion target's a dark, and a card I side deck into is dark also. And then what this allows you to do, this one isn't as powerful in the sense that it doesn't float into Ecclesia, so you can't crash it for combo. I'm trying to find a card that I could crash it to search for combo or an interruption. Best I could think of is DD Crow. If you guys have some feedback on that, let me know. But this card is predominantly, if you bait their DPE, you then summon this, take their DPE out of the grave, and now you've got a DPE that you can use. You don't want to pop itself if you use it, though, because then they'll get it engraved to summon it back.
Yeah, true.
But if you summon it to your side of the field and use it to pop something else, like you can even pop this, clear one of their cards, and then pass, you got to trade with a card because DPE popped. On their standby phase, they're going to be forced to summon Dasher or Celestial because they don't have the DPE. So now their DPE is less likely to float unless they find a way to destroy yours. And then you still have the DPE interruption on their turn. But this card also, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but if there's any dark tuners that end up engraved, this could take it and use that for that. But aside from that, this one didn't come up nearly as much. This one was crazy. I had one line where I could have, my opponent, shout out Tyler Hat. He was playing like a 60 card Eldritch Brave deck, and he had DPE and Grave. I had a line where with what his life was at, where I could have made this, took the DPE and killed him under 5 summons. But if I got Veilered, I just had no follow-up and I didn't kill him. And so I was like, but if I made the play I opted to make, I played into Nibiru. And so I did that play and I got Nibiru'd and I ended up losing that game. But if I would have feared the Nib instead, I could have won with this. And given the scenario of the game, honestly, if he had a Veiler, it would have had to have been a top-decked Veiler, because the way my last turn progressed, he would have used it already. And I respected Nib on my turn 1 combo, so I should have respected it on the following turn. So this would have won the game, but I genuinely do, in hindsight, think I miscalculated. And so I think I would still play this card. Maybe it could get moved to the side deck if I want to put something else in the extra. But then I play the Draco Berserker. I've heard that people have cut this card. This card's good for going for game, but it also is a worm negate. Not negate, but interruption. So if you get locked by Ashina, if you get locked by Ashina, you can still go into this, so you can end on like multiple interruptions still. And then we play 1 Baxia. I thought I wanted to play 2, but I never actually wanted the second today. This card is crazy. Like, it turns Taiye into Mo-Yi, so like it sometimes just gives you extra advantage there. It spins cards, lets you go into this occasionally to play around Nib or to force the Nib or to force the Veilers. And this card's really good too. I'll talk more about it in a second, but this card also with the Ready Fusion gives you weird lines that didn't come up yet, but they could, where you could use this, tribute a guy, special this, and synchro 10 in a Baron. That's worth noting. And then this card just, you spin cards, so it's crazy going second. It's good for setting up combos going first. It's insane. And then the Chow Fing, when it's destroyed, searches a tuner. So sometimes you'll end on this with the trap and with a Chizao, and it's just like enough to win. This didn't come up much, but it did once and I won with it. So I'd probably still play that. These are pretty standard. Baron and Cheng Yin. These are 14th and 15th, so that's the end of the extra deck. And I didn't have access to the new guy. I want to try him, but I don't know where I'd put him. But these cards are crazy. And a thing to note, I think you should probably summon this over this in the mirror if you're not fearing Nib. Because this makes them play awkwardly, whereas this, they just like summon Vishuda, bounce it, force the negate. But this, if they like Vishuda and have anything else engraved, you can banish the monk and another card. So that's kind of cool. Into the spiciest part of the deck, the side deck. Alright, to start, this is my only going first card. I put in triple anti-spell. The first locals I played, this was like one of the only cards in the side deck that changed. I was playing 1 anti-spell, 2 judgment, under the theory that I wanted 3 going first cards still, because I take the nibs out for him, but I was thinking I'd make a board, judgment would protect the board, and I never want to draw 2 of this card, so I'd play 1, and then if I opened this in judgment, it felt insane, whereas if I opened 2 of this, it didn't feel as insane. But I soon learned that this deck is, it's a fair deck. The deck is a lot of, like, you gain advantage pretty easily. It's a more mid-range deck, and in a fair deck, you want unfair side cards so that you can just, like, get free wins off them. Whereas in an unfair deck, you would want the more fair side cards like Judgment because you're already doing an unfair combo. You just want the Judgment to protect it. And so that's why I ended up switching to the 3 of this. And I would not look back. This card's crazy. It'll force the droplets. If they don't have the droplets, it's just like a floodgate that kills them. It also stops cards like Dark Ruler and Lightning Storm, which I've been getting hit by a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
So I like this card a lot. 1 red reboot. Shout out Dave. This is for him. Our boy Dave, if you saw on the channel, he plays Fluanderies. And the Fluanderies deck, he sides into Dimensional Barriers and into the trap card, the Wing Beast one, the Harpies one that just like blows you out. So I wanted to have a answer to that at least so I could side it in. Also shout out Tommy because I also side this in against the Invoke deck sometimes in this deck to stop the Schism.
Yep.
Next, the Hand Trap lineup. I play the Triple Lancia. I don't like this card in a lot of matchups, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I maybe side this against Invoked in this deck. It depends on like the player and how they were playing. I don't think I like it in the mirror. I tried siding in it twice in the mirror, and I just kind of like drew it, and they led with other plays, and this didn't really do much. I feel like Imperm would be like more high impact if this space was dedicated to them, but this is more so like for the Phantom Knight deck. Shout out our boy Matt. He's the main player I know playing that, and I respect that deck a lot and him as a player, so I want to have a way to stop him from being able to full combo, hopefully. And this in tandem with other hand traps will stop the full combo. Because they can still like DP Scythe under this card, but if you have this plus Veiler or this plus Nib or this plus Ogre, they're not full comboing. And then the triple Phantasme. A lot of people, Tommy, my cameraman included, give me looks on this card. The theory behind this is that I'm putting this in because it's a level 7 extender. Because on their turn, they're going to link summon. I'm going to summon this card. I'm going to draw 2, fix my hand. Lets me put back the dead 001s. It lets me, if I draw this with Tenyis, I put back the Tenyis that aren't going to be live. And it lets me dig for more hand traps that are high impact. There's a lot of players that like to play strikers at our locals, and I wanted a card that is versatile against a lot of decks. Because like this will stop them. I put this in against PK because they'll put 2 to 3 links up. Oh, yeah. And this will let me turbo into my outs and stuff. And it's also a dark for the Dark Charmer. So if decks are making Anaconda to make DPE, you know they're making links. So you're putting this in, you're going to draw 2 cards, and this is going to help you get to the Dark Charmer. To take that, I didn't actually draw this card yet, but in theory it's cool. And it's also, like I said about Nib, it's a monster that puts itself on board. So you make you summon a Tuner full combo, or you summon a level 3, make the Baron de Fleur. The last hand trap is Triple Token Collector. This card blows out the mirror. This card is very good against Brave decks.
Yeah, it is.
This
I
card,
think it's more impactful. I don't know which one it's more impactful for. It just shuts it down.
The mirror, it's like very high impact if they don't play around it. And even if they play around it, they have to somehow shuffle this back in a deck or banish it, or they have to play around it the whole game.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 cards that go with this are a Gallant Granite and a Zeus. The reason we're playing this is because obviously, like I said, this card shuts down the mirror. But this card also shuts you down. It says neither player can summon tokens.
Yeah.
And so this works just like Phantasme and Nib, where if you summon a Tuner, you can do your full combo, but then you also have this in Grave, and it recurs from Grave. But there are hands where you don't have Tuner access, but you have level 4 access. You would have Mo Yi or Tai Ye. And so the line right in the mirror, like they summon Mo Yi, you token collector them. They're going to have to pass, or they're going to have to play awkward to play around it. If they just pass, your turn rolls around. If all you have is like the Moyi to start, you would summon it. No effect, obviously, because you can't. You make the Gallant. You detach the token collector. You search Nibiru. And then, so now you're going to have, let me find my Nibiru. So now I've got token collector in rotation. I've got Nibiru, and then I attack with this, and then drop Zeus. And so now for one Moyi, after we already token collected them, we're going to get a Zeus Send and a Nib from the one Moyi. But they're still going to be locked under token collector because once they summon, this comes out. And if they play into this and I have to summon it, if they do that before the Zeus Send, I can end phase Zeus Send, and it's going to clear my token collector, allowing me to play the game on my turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then it still keeps it locked. Like, this combo's insane. I saw one deck profile play this like 3 months ago, and I thought about it, and I was like, dude, that's insane, because I wanted to play this but have it still be live.
Yeah, and it's not like you're gonna like. It's not like you have to draw it either. You could just make it off of token collector.
Yeah, it's so insane, and it could see the nib. And so that's the deck profile. I really enjoy this deck. I really enjoy the way I built it too. Honestly, the only thing I'm contemplating changing is the Ready Fusion, which kind of sucks because it feels spicy. But I think that I need to Therio on it a little more. I need to think about ways that if I draw a hand like bless you. If I open like Vishuddha and Adhara, or yeah, if I open like Vishuddha, Adhara, Ready Fusion, then the Ready Fusion tends to be dead because I have to make the Helk line first, and if I make the Helk line without the Ready Fusion, that card is just wasted. And so I have to think of ways to utilize it better if I'm going to continue to play it. So I might cut down to 44, and I would probably, if I do that, change this in the extra deck for the new level 10 so I could test it.
Yeah. We got to get that card.
Yeah, there's also an argument.
Shout out to Spencer for buying the last one in TCG.
There's also an argument to try the Rudy Rose. I like that card. We just didn't have access to it, so I didn't put it in. But I would like to main or side that card for matchups it's good in. But that's the deck profile, guys. Like I said, I talk a lot in these deck profiles. So if that's the type of content you want, please subscribe. Like, check out more of my deck profiles.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I do, if you're not a fan of these talking ones, if you're like, well, I want this guy.
If you're just trying to net deck, this is this probably is for you. I was going to say it wasn't, but it probably is because now you know why he made the decisions he did.
Yeah, I think that's really important when you copy a list, is to understand what's going on and why, and that's why I like to talk about it. But if you don't like those kind of content, I do also get other people's deck profiles at my locals. I do pick their brains, so they tend to be longer than normal deck profiles, but they're shorter than mine, so I still have content for you guys.
Hell yeah.
So, yep, that's the profile. Thank you for watching.
Peace out.